right, all right. Looks like we're live. I'm going to give it some time for some people to show up. This is my first time doing this, and we're going to talk about the 3 mindsets that entrepreneurs must have. And I know my setup looks a little bit different today. I am in one of my offices, and the guy next to me is so loud. He's super loud. So let's see, who do we got on? And as you come on, drop me any questions that you have in the comments section, and happy to start answering them. So I want to talk about the 3 mindsets of an entrepreneur and what you must have. So these are so key. And a lot of the times on the videos that I post on my channel, they're mostly around the strategies and tactics that you have to take in business. So what kind of questions should you ask when you're looking at a franchise? What sort of franchises make sense? Which sort of franchises are profitable? What sort of steps that you have to take when you're looking at a franchise or owning a business or making the transition? But here's what is so key, because I talk to so many of you. You guys send me emails and we talk over the phone, and the mindset part of business is so important. So the first one that I want to cover in terms of mindset is I am resourceful. And so as an entrepreneur, you have to have the mindset that you are always resourceful. So I have people that reach out to me and they say, well, I don't have the money for a franchise. I don't have the money to meet the liquid net worth requirement or the main net worth requirement. And here's my belief is that if you are resourceful, you will figure out a way to get the money. I mean, think about businesses that get started. You think Elon Musk had the money to create everything for Tesla and self-fund it? No, that's why you got these venture capitalists and private equity funds. They're going out there and they're raising money. And they're raising money so that they can get the money to fund the business that they want to create. And so when you're thinking about either making a transition or wanting to own a franchise and what that looks like, well, you got to figure out a way to get the money. And if you don't have the money, you got to be resourceful and figure out a way to source the money. And so what's really powerful as an entrepreneur and having this mindset is when you make a decision that you're going to do something first, and that you'll find the money afterwards, because you have the belief that you are resourceful and you figure out a way to find the money. And number 2 is that you take action in spite of fear. And so, as an entrepreneur and as a business owner, you're going to deal with fear on a daily basis. When I think about when we opened our first location in California, the idea of investing over $300,000 to get that location open was terrifying. I mean, there were some times throughout the process where I thought, what if this doesn't work? I mean, we're pulling all of this money out of our house. We're going to invest it into this business. We have this lease that we're paying almost $5,000 a month for this lease. We're going to have employees that are counting on us. What if it doesn't work? What if we open our doors and no customers come in? So here's what's really powerful about being an entrepreneur and taking action in spite of fear is recognizing that whenever you do something new, whenever you take a new risk, is that voice and that fear always pops up in your mind and in your head, and learning how to really get familiar with that voice, get familiar with that fear, and build the habit of taking action no matter what. It's one of the things that I work on with my clients. And because I can put the best business in front of them. We can look at financials and see that a business is really profitable and it's doing really great, and have the perfect plan for someone to make the transition, right? To make the transition from their job to being an entrepreneur and a business owner. But if they're not willing to take the action and take the leap and take the jump, then none of it means anything. So you have to be able to build that muscle of taking action in spite of fear. And that's all it is. It's just a muscle. It's a muscle that you get used to it, right? So if you had never worked out before and Like I'm training for a Spartan race right now, a 6 mile race. Actually, it's this Saturday. And I had not run in years. I mean, I just really hate running. And so what I did was I had to build the muscle of running. And I started with a mile here and there, and then 2 miles, 3 miles. And then eventually my workouts got to where I was running 7.5 miles in a workout and combining that with push-ups and lunges and all sorts of other things. So in the beginning, taking action in spite of fear could just be picking up the phone and calling some of the other franchisees in the FDD. Maybe that's scary to you. Maybe the idea of that is terrifying, picking up the phone, calling other franchisees and asking them questions. Maybe the idea of talking to the franchisor is scary. And maybe the whole process is scary for you, but you build that muscle of taking action in spite of fear. And just a quick reminder, if you have any questions, make sure to drop me a question in the chat. Any business questions that you have. But we're talking about taking action in spite of fear. And as an entrepreneur, it's a muscle that you have to build, and you got to constantly take action in spite of fear. And you take small steps, right? So you're taking small steps and taking small actions that are fearful for you, and eventually you can take bigger and bigger actions. So when I was a financial advisor and I would help clients invest, sometimes those clients had to start out with $5,000, $10,000 before they had the courage to be able to invest $100,000 or $200,000 or more. So making sure that you have that mindset that I take action in spite of fear, getting familiar with that voice of fear when you're fearful, recognizing that it's a normal state whenever you're doing something new and whenever you're taking a risk, and that you take action in spite of fear no matter what. So, and then the third mindset that you have to have as an entrepreneur is progress over perfection. So I talk to a lot of you guys. You guys send me emails, and I talk to some of you guys over the phone, and especially for my coaching clients that I talk to multiple times a month, and sometimes we're sending video or audio recordings back and forth to each other. But it's really the idea of continuing to make progress, even when you feel like you're not ready and things aren't perfect. So for myself, I'm very analytical. A lot of the clients that I work with, that I coach in looking at franchising and do my business coaching with, they're also very analytical. And what analytical minds like to do is they like to have all of the details perfect. They like to have all the details and all the information. The reality is, in business, is that you have to continually move forward without the details and without the answer. And so you have to be willing to move forward even when you don't have it all figured out. And that's what I mean by progress over perfection. And so sometimes just taking sloppy action can be better than taking perfect action. Or sometimes if we spend too much time getting things ready, one, we either never take action, or two, if we spend too much time getting ready, we miss the opportunity. This happened to me recently. I was looking at an existing franchise to buy in our area, and I waited too long. I could have just put an offer in and relied on the contingencies in the contract, but instead I waited too long. Someone came in and put in an offer. And so if you can build the muscle of building that progress over perfection, then it's going to really help and support you in your journey to being an entrepreneur and making whatever transition that you want to make. So I hope you guys got some value out of this. So just to recap, number one is that you are resourceful. You always find a way. Doesn't matter if you don't have the money. Doesn't matter if you don't have the resources, the skill sets, the knowledge. You make a decision, you commit, you point to where you're going, you decide that you're going there, and then you'll figure out how you're going to get there. Then number two is that you take action in spite of fear. So once you point and figure out where you're going, I'm going to open this business and that's my target. That's where I'm going. Now you got to take action in spite of fear, because fear is going to come up for you. And so you got to be willing every step along the way that when you feel that fear and when you feel nervous, that you're willing to continue to take action. And then number three is that you have the spirit of progress over perfection. So you're continuing to progress, even though you may not have all the answers, even though it may not look perfect and it may not look pretty. Granted, you still want to make sure that you're not just winging it, right? Because that's when you can get yourself in trouble. But you get about as much rough details as you can, and then you take action. And you get clarity through taking action. So I hope you guys found this helpful. For me, just so you know, I'm living all of these things right now by doing this live. This is my first time doing live before. I've never done it. I didn't even research or read about how to do it. I'm not even in my normal studio setup. I'm in this office where the walls are bare. I threw it on. I threw in some headphones because I wanted to make progress over perfection and take action in spite of fear. So I hope you guys got some value out of this. I have no idea how it's going to go. And I got a video going live on Thursday. And if you want my help, make sure to shoot me an email at info@tarajohnson.com. And I'll see you guys soon.